This is Transformers War for Cybertron Trilogy Siege Titan Class Omega Supreme. Let's take a look at the packaging real quickly. It's partake of every single video review on this channel. Up close in your face. And as you can see, we got some very nice artwork here with Omega Supreme going into battle against some Decepticons that are about to be blown away by his huge claw cannon. And behind him, you can see Jetfire, which if you had Jetfire's packaging, it would be the opposite. You would have Omega Supreme in the background. So it's like continuing the story in a way, which is pretty cool. Here's the top of the packaging with the Autobots. War for Cybertron Trilogy. There's the Misaligned Generations logo, which is almost at the top right corner, but Kartomi's taking that place. And here's a good look at the side of the packaging with that, promotional artwork for Siege, which is just the Autobots and the Ark blasting off into space, and we know where it's going. Hashtag Earthrise. So anyway, here's Omega Supreme from the back of the packaging. There's a look at his base mode. Here's some detailed information about some gimmicks here, like opening doors, and then you've got his tank mode, and then you've got an opening compartment for Countdown, which is his little companion he comes with in this set. And on this side, you've got the Ark itself on its launch pad. Looks like it's getting ready to take off. And that's pretty much going to do it for this huge box. And I mean, it is huge. I mean, look at the size of my hand compared to this. It's gigantic. Now, as I go about getting rid of this very carefully here, because I kind of want to keep that box in a very nice condition, let's take a look at the big boy himself, starting off with his robot mode. And Omega Supreme is gigantic. He is a huge transformer, very huge, and he has every right to be, as he is a pretty big character in Generation 1. Now, this is as close as it's going to get for a modern take on his Generation 1 counterpart, which, I'm not complaining. It's very amazing. Some nice detail work here in the sculpting. And yes, you will hear some rattling going on for this figure. And it's not to say that he's got any loose joints and his hips aren't broken like Stripticon would be, and nothing like that. It's just I've got some stuff in some hidden compartments, which I'm already pointing out here, and we'll get to that very shortly. Anyway, take a good look at that awesome Generation 1 face sculpt on the inside of this clear helmet piece here. It's very nice. These tubes here are a very soft rubber material, which means they're not going to break anytime soon. We got some nice paint work as well. My only to tell you the truth, real gripe about this figure would have to be that in promotional shots, and especially on the back of the packaging, they showcase Omega Supreme's eyes being blue, and unfortunately it is a nice light piping, but you can clearly see that they are not blue, they're just orange, which, okay, fine, whatever. But, I mean, I'm loving the detail on this figure overall. This is probably the most impressive part about the figure, is just the overall appearance of his robot mode, which is spectacular. It is so freaking amazing, and he does have some really nice, very nice ratcheting joints all around, especially with his claw hand here, which is pretty cool. We do have some combat damage as well, which is a carrying on trend from the Siege line. It's got some really lovely detail here, especially with the chest piece on the inside. You can see this mechanical bit doesn't do anything. It would have been cool if there was actually a Mecha Live gimmick in here somehow, but it's not. But still, some nice details. Very cool. And then you've got his left laser cannon here, which does rotate if you want it to. And he does have some really nice articulation as well, with some very tight joints. Very nice. Everything about this figure is pretty tight. On a side note though, there is just a little bit of some loose to the neck joint, but yeah. He does have a neck joint, because I've seen video reviews of this figure and everybody seems to have his head popped down like this, which you don't get the full amount of articulation if you do that. You just get a swivel. If you got to pop up his head all the way, because it does come out, And then you've got some neck articulation where you have a hinge joint for up and down movement here. Oh, and he does have a small little cannon here for the back of his head to give him more of his Generation 1 screen accuracy. Now, clearly this will not be for tank mode. This actually gets stored away in his head, which, you know, it's a simple just pop it down like so. And I've seen some reviewers have problems actually getting this piece out, but fortunately, I'm not one of those, so there's something good. Right. Anyway, so let's take a look at the back of the figure now, so you can get an idea of what it does look like, because it is a very clean figure here. There really isn't that much kibble going on at all. He does have some very nice tanks here, which are pretty much going to be portions of his rocket mode, which is very cool. And then, of course, you've got his bridge for his wings here, which is pretty nice. They do have a tendency to untab. It's not a very tight connection. This side here, I don't seem to have that problem. As you can see, the seam line is pretty flush between these two. But this one here, it just keeps undoing itself. As you can see, just likes to come undone. Anyway, some nice detail here on the back of the figure with the very nice knee joints, as you can see. Pretty cool. And yes, his claws are made out of a clear plastic. As you can see, my finger right there. Yes, very easy to see that. And you hear that he does have some very nice clicking joints. As I said, just about everything on this figure has some very nice clicking joints, especially at the shoulders. And he does have it at the hips, but it's going to be a little difficult to play around with that, considering that I'm actually holding my camera here because my tripod, unfortunately, took a bad fall, and it doesn't work anymore. I have to get it replaced. But besides that, I mean, we do have some lovely paint applications as well, with this very nice shiny silver here around the the ankles. And then you've got some silver here. You've got some very nice red here, kind of maroon in a way, with a very lovely stamped on Autobot logo. Even though it's not printed straight, you can kind of see it's a little tilted to the left, but still not bad. I mean, I've seen worse. That's some very nice work here. I do very much love the way this figure turned out for its robot mode. It is so cool. Oh yeah, and you do have a little bit of some extra play here if you untab. Easier said than done without fingernails, but if you can actually get in here and flip up these panels here, you do have some hidden missiles for some extra firepower against the Decepticons. And this side is a different take on the missiles. As you saw, we have multiple missiles in his right side, and on his left side we've got only 4 here, but they're gigantic. He's got some nice detail here as well. I did not notice that. Yeah, so they don't shoot or anything, it's just sculpted in there, but it does have some nice paint work as well. So let's get a side-by-side comparisons real quickly as I go about looking around for something. I've got plenty of Transformers all over the place. So here's Optimus Prime from Siege, a Voyager figure compared to Omega Supreme, and yes, he is huge. Let's try to get this all on screen here. That is very incredible. Look at that. Yeah, he is gigantic. For another comparisons, which I'll have to move the camera in order to retrieve this one, because I'm sure everybody wants to know what's the size of him against his arch rival from Generation 1, which is Devastator, or should I say the Constructicons. He's bigger than Devastator, so, you know, there's a Titan class figure of the past compared to a Titan class figure of today. But he is no Fortress Maximus. Fortress Maximus is still currently, at this time, because Unicron isn't a thing right now, currently the biggest Transformer of them all. Right. So, let me put Devastator down here, because we might see him again later. Maybe. I don't know. But let's go for the articulation on this guy, because he does have multiple points in a lot of places. So he does have a swivel cut at the head. He does have a hinge joint at the neck. His shoulders, which we're going to have to play with this one here, does get some up and down movement on some nice clicking joints. You do have inward and outward as well. You've got a single jointed elbow on both sides, but you do get at least 9 degrees of bend. There's also a bicep swivel cut, which is very tight on this guy. He does have rotation, like I showed off earlier, with his claw hand. He does have multiple points at the joints. There's some nice clicking here, and very silent clicking here. And that's on all of these points here. And then, same thing pretty much here on this arm, except you do have rotation at his cannon. There's that. He also has a waist joint, which is very tight. And I might not be able to do this here, but you can see it's kind of turning. If I could get it to at least click one time, I'll be satisfied. But I can't do it with one hand. But yeah, it is there. And then he's got some nice hip articulation as well at the legs. But again, not easy to do without a tripod. So I'm going to have to resort to trying to hold down the figure at the same time as I move these very tight joints. So you can get about this much kicking up. You could get it a little higher, I think. But no, it's not going to go any higher. There's something that's blocking it there. But, I mean, it's still pretty good. That's not bad at all. The fact that these legs have some very tight ratchets that are very supportive. He can hold a pose, but it would take a little time to get him to balance just right. But yeah, you can move it up, you can move it down. You can hear that nice clicking. You also have your... Now, that is some very serious tight clicking. But yeah, you can pull off a JCVD split on the guy. But I really can't get it to go out all the way on the other end, because again, I'm holding the camera and the figure at the same time. But yeah, you can pull off a full JCVD split. So let's bring this back down here, because you do have a thigh swivel cut, which is, once again, tight ratchets. And then the figure does actually have some knee joints, which are single jointed, but you can get them to bend like so, 90 degrees. That's all you can really ask for there. Let me try and reset this so I can hold the guy up again. And you do have some very nice ankle rocker pivot on both feet, which are, once again, super tight, like everything else on the guy. So, can't really get it to move right, because I really miss my tripod. Can't get it to come. Let me put it down and see if I can move it then. There, see, now you can see it's moving. It's just a little difficult to work with here, but yeah, you do also have some very lovely detail at the bottom of his feet, which you may actually see in his base mode, which we'll get to in just a moment. But let's go ahead and open up these compartments here, where you can store away some of his extra stuff that he comes with, like, as I mentioned earlier, on the back of the packaging, which I just had the thing in my hands, and now it's really in there. Right, so I didn't mean to do that, but I didn't have much of a choice. Anyway, here's Autobot Countdown, and he's some kind of moon rover, I believe. You can see he's also got a very nice satellite dish on the top, which is pretty cool. It's got some nice detail all around, just not much paint application, but hey, what do you expect for such a small little guy? And yes, he does actually have a robot mode, which I believe I can actually get transformed without having to do any jump cuts, because I really can't do any jump cuts at the moment here, because I really don't have that much time anyhow. But yeah, there you go. There's the robot mode. He does have some nice paint application at the face with the silver and the blue for the eyes. As you can see, for such a very small figure, I mean, you can see the head compared to the size of my thumbnail here. It is very small, but the fact that they actually painted the eyes in there is actually quite amazing. Some nice work. And he does have articulation as well. I mean, you can move his arms up and down at the shoulders. He does have some ball jointed hips, so you can get him to split out a little bit. You can get him to move up and down, and you can actually see due to transformation he does have a knee bend. So, you know, not much articulation, but the fact that he does have some is all that really counts. So there we go. He also has some nice blast effect pieces here where I gotta admit, not really that good. I would have preferred if these were actually just done in clear plastic, not painted over with this dark charcoal color to make it look like the explosion in itself, which I understand what they were going for here, but it just doesn't look that good in person, I'm telling you guys. And there's more. There's actually some down here, which I'm gonna have to flip them over again to get it out. And there's more than that. Where is it? He's supposed to have like 3 of these here, and there's supposed to be more effect pieces. Just don't remember where exactly I put this stuff on the figure. It's possible I may have put it in here, in this panel that pops out, and it should open up. I mean, this is the top of the rocket portion. It's supposed to open up. You know, I think I'm gonna have to slide this down. There they are, right there. I knew it. So that's where I left the stuff. I can't get it out still. Alright. No. Well, that wasn't supposed to happen, but yeah, I guess that does pop off and on if you wanted to. But here's the rest of the explosion pieces, and we'll get to that in just a moment as soon as I get this back together. Come on, get in there. I don't have that much time. Get in there. Blast. Come on, you. Come on. Alright, let's close that back up and put that back in. Slide this big back down so we can have his arm back in full transformation. Close this all back up, bring this back up. Such a big boy. Very big. You can see, countdown doesn't even come up to its ankle. That's it. Anyway, here we go. Here's all the effect pieces. As you can see, we've got 3 of these very tiny pointy ones, and then we got this middle portion here, and then you've got these 2 right here that can separate, and then here's this small one here that you can just, you know, you can go all crazy on this. You can have separate pieces put like in different areas on the figure where there's holes, and where you've got your little blast ports as well throughout the whole entire siege line. So if you want to make it look like he's firing, you can do that. Or maybe it would make sense if you put it right here on these cannon pieces, which this one, it's a little loose, but the hole is actually a little bigger than the actual end point here. So there are different size holes for certain areas on the guy, but you get the idea. It's pretty much for pretend play, which is okay. I mean, you can also put it right here inside the cannon to make it look like he's firing, which is nice. You can also bring it over here and put it in the claw hand as well. So just put it in like that. You can do that. You also have the options that you have 3 of these. You can actually attach them to the inside, the tip of the claws themselves if you want. Make it look like they're firing as well. Pretty cool stuff that you can actually do here. Very nice. And that's pretty much all that I can really say about the robot mode. I'd love to go more into detail on the guy, but I mean, time is short here, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to transform the figure and Tell you guys the truth, I'm going to need both my hands in order to do this, so I may have to reposition the camera somewhere where I can actually put this guy completely on view here for your viewing pleasure. So just bear with me for a second as I decide how I'm going to do this.